Hello YouTube, this is Archerinvesting. In today's YouTube video, I want to talk about how I make income using options, as well as talk about some of the risks that come with selling and buying options as well. There's a pretty good amount of my portfolio that would explain each scenario. So without further ado, let's get to it. Just a quick overview. My portfolio is sitting at $109,000. It's up to almost $110,000, which is pretty great. But there is some potential downside to this as well, and I'll show you here. So I have a MSTR 185 sell call. I have two contracts that expire May 22nd, and the total return right now is down 50% for a total of $800. Now, the reason why this is sort of an issue is because MSTR is currently at $187.25. So I am limiting my potential upside in this position just because I am agreeing to sell MSTR at 185. MSTR has earnings coming up. I'm not sure what day exactly, but this could go two ways. It could either drop down to 170 or go up to 200, but to add more, I want to say fuel to the fire or whatever, because I would like MSTR to go up, is Bitcoin is over $80,000. I believe it's still over 80,000. Let's see. Yeah, it's over $80,000, so that's pulling up momentum up for MSTR as well, which is good. Now, that is a potential downside of selling calls, for example. It does really limit your potential upside in this position. You do make money off of it, but at the end of the day, you could probably make more. However, there are certain little strategies that you can do to, I guess you could say, play defense, and that is just rolling your position. So in this case, for example, let's go to right here. Let's go to simulate returns because this is the more accurate one right here, right? Because this is 187.52. So the estimated contract price is $13.94, right? So realistically, what I would do is roll this out about a month maybe, or even more. And I will try to make it so I'm not past that, 13 something. So in this case, it'll probably be right here, 196. So I'll probably roll it to 196. Realistically, I'll roll it to like 190 or like 195, make a little bit more premium. But right now, how I see it, MSTR is on the uptrend, at least for the short term. And I don't want to get rid of my calls just yet. I sold my 185 calls. I believe the delta was like at 0.2, 0.15, I believe, if I remember correctly. So I did that because I did want to make money off of it, but at the same time, I didn't want them to get called out. But it looks like in this case, there's about a 50% chance that will happen. So yeah, I could sell it maybe at 194. But realistically, I'll probably do 196, or maybe even go out to July and do your 210. And do like a 210, make a little bit of premium, and then at least if I'm forced to sell, I sell it at 210 and not 185, and then hopefully by July 17th, let's say it reaches 209, I get to sell again and then sell again, but we'll see what happens. Let's see how the rest of the week goes. So still some time for it to play in our favor. Now, another thing to consider is as this position goes on, it's going to get more and more and more expensive to roll out if MSTR continues on the uptrend. So, for example, like that 13, whatever it was, let's actually go to it. That 1398, if it reaches, let's say it reaches like 210, right, this week, 29.98, right? And that's one of the risks that comes with trading in terms of, options, is that price for the May 22nd will drastically increase versus, a June 18th, So in this case, instead of rolling it to possibly 196, I'll probably have to roll it to like 190. just because the price of that 185 call becomes much more valuable because it is deeper in the money and there is less time versus the July or the August or the June, which is still technically out of the money. So that's just one of the downsides or one of the cautions you have to take when selling options. I'm not ready to sell MSTR just yet. I do want to sell it at one point, but not yet. I do want to try to catch a little bit more upside and a little bit more premium. So that's why I'm going to probably most likely roll this out depending how this week goes. But that's kind of an example of some of the risks that come with selling options in terms of selling calls. Selling puts will be, for example, Coinbase right here. So this position, I'm currently up in the positive. But let's say, it's May 8th, and then Coinbase just decides to go like 165. I'll be forced to buy Coinbase at 175, not 165. However, in my case, I am okay with owning Coinbase at 175. So I don't really mind, but you just, I guess you could say, limit on how much you could buy Coinbase for. You could have bought at 165 versus 175. But at the end of the day, no one really exactly knows where Coinbase will be at by this expiration date. But that is still like a risk that I am willing to take and other investors are willing to take. But there is a lot of benefits to selling calls and everything, and then as well as buying calls and selling puts and buying puts. And I'll show you a quick few. So, here's not a benefit right here, right? I rolled this out for MSTR. Had a realized loss of $993, but technically it wasn't a realized loss. And then here's like a benefit for selling a put. Made $485 off of that position. And then here's another benefit of buying calls right here. Try to find it. Where's it at? So here. So when buying calls, it is, I guess you could say, like a leverage play. This gives me the ability to control 100 shares of Visa. In this case, I had 2 contracts. So I was controlling 200 shares of Visa. And then once earnings came out, Visa did have like almost a 10% increase, and then it went down. And I sold it around 340. So that made me a realized profit of 192% just on my position. So I almost tripled my money just on calls, which is one of the benefits of buying calls. It is a way to make money pretty quickly. That's just one position right there. And then here's like a leap position. That was a 40% gain, 42% gain. But there is a lot of drawbacks as well. Time is not in your favor versus selling. So that's something you have to consider as well, Obviously, if you have a contract that's a month out versus a contract that's a year out, the contract that is a month out will experience theta more versus the one that's a year out. So that is something to consider as well. Yeah, the month out contract is a lot cheaper. You could buy more contracts off of it and potentially make more money versus the leap contract. However, theta is really going to be eating at your position. And even if the stock does go up, let's say $5 in that month, you could still technically be at a loss just because theta has really decayed your position and you're at a negative or maybe breaking even. So that's just a quick explanation of some of the pros and cons of selling and buying contracts, puts and calls. You kind of have to know the risk and be able to accept the risk as well, but there's always ways to, counter. For example, rolling the position on the calls, that's still a possibility for me. I could do that for my MSTR. Even though I wanted to do that for example, I think I have a SoFi one. No, I don't think I do. But like Irene right here. Irene is up a pretty good amount right now, $49. This position, I'm down $226. So technically, if I wanted to keep Irene past May 22nd, I could roll this out. That won't be a big issue or anything like that. But it is something as well. And then for puts, you could do the same thing. You go to trade. Well, first let's check here, $295. The contract is sitting at $330, just about. And then you could roll this out as well, you know. And then probably you'll roll it down, right? Or maybe keep it at 175. But realistically, you'll probably roll it down to like 155 or something like that, right? So there's ways to play a little bit of defense when selling options and then buying options as well. You know, you can always roll it out and everything. But it is a way to build up income in your portfolio. I have been using this a lot. And a good amount of my profit has been because of options. I have taken some losses here, for example, this MSCR position. But I've also taken some pretty big wins as well. For example, my Visa positions right here and here for my calls. And I have made a decent amount of money for selling as well. For example, the 671 right here. Probably a little bit of $38 here, $16 here, $14 here. But the thing is, it really does add up, and it really does help build your portfolio as well, you know. But yeah, that's just how I make income in my portfolio. So far, it's worked for me. It's also bitten me as well. For example, this MSCR position. We'll see how MSCR performs later this week. I believe they have earnings May 5th. I might be 100% wrong. But yeah, it's really helped out building my portfolio. I don't think I would be up this amount if I didn't do that. Especially with the buying the leaps. I don't really buy calls that much. That Visa 2 contracts that I sold that expired May 22nd is pretty rare. I usually just stick with leaps just because I like to give the contract more time to go in my favor versus a 1 month out call option. But I was pretty confident on Visa. I was really bullish, and then I just decided to buy the 2 contracts, took the risk, and it paid off. But yeah, let me know what you guys are doing, what portfolio, how your portfolio looks like, what stocks you guys are buying. And if you like these type of videos, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one.